Everybody, welcome to the Detail Elements podcast. I'm your host, Levi Gates, and with me, my two cohorts in crime, Sebastian and Brian, sitting here. So we got Sebastian Schaefer, who is the tech dude, basically the head of Liquid Elements. He's Brian and I's boss, so that's fun. We get to have him in here today and hang out and answer questions for you guys. So hopefully, if you have some questions, he's the guy to ask those technical, deep questions you've been wanting. And then, of course, the one, the only Brian Guy sitting over here on the other side. So hello, gentlemen.
Thank you, Levi.
Yeah, hello from me as well. So here it's already getting late a little, and the sun is not drowning still, but it's getting a little darker than I guess over you. But yeah, I'm totally stoked and excited about what we will hear today from people's question probably, or maybe some nice kind of interactions. Hear from folks that just want to interact with the brand, or maybe have some kind of serious questions in particular. So yeah, would be fun for the next, I guess, an hour and a half, something like this we do.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. I'm excited to see what people kind of come up with or what they've got. And so we'll pop up questions and stuff right now. We'll wait, see what we get. But this week we've been talking, I know a lot of people have been seeing our social media. Some of the stuff we've been talking about is the system and how the system works together, right? So the whole goal of Liquid Elements is to solve a problem for the customer or the detailer. And so utilizing the system is the easiest way to do that, correct?
Yeah, the main idea was not just delivering a product. So most of the resellers asking me this kind of questions, like, Sebastian, what is your outstanding product? What is the icon product you're selling? Like, is this the polishers or are these the pads? But I always try to convince them to the main idea that if a detailer just want to detail a car, he's not fallen in love with a particular kind of tool. So he's not after a machine or not after a certain pad. He usually is just after the final result. So this is what he's striving for, and we just try to satisfy this need the best way possible. So we basically came up with the idea of you need a full system where everything works together and has a special dedicated intent. And this is also the reason why our consumables are not that highly priced, because we think that we are not just selling pads, or we are not just selling a car soap. We're just giving the customer the opportunity to benefit from a full system, which is dialed in to be used in conjunction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's what Brian and I have been noticing is a lot of folks just, they don't understand that there's a purpose for everything that we have, right? Like most people, we laugh because we see people that don't understand one, like the pad primer, right? Why we use pad prime. It's an integral part in limiting dust, keeping the product cycle working longer, keeping the temperature a little cooler on the surface when we're polishing. But biggest thing is dust control and mitigation of that. And a wetting agent is a huge thing in detailing, but there's so many people that don't understand that. And so each piece works to make just everything better in your system from the start to the finish, from soaps all the way down to your protection agents.
Exactly. And speaking about the this mist spray in particular, it's just I had an argue back and forth with a polish manufacturer. So it is a huge German company, and they were just asking me, like, why do you do a dedicated spray which is misting the pad when a polish manufacturer wants to have more water in the polish or more lubrication? We will just incorporate this into the product. And I was like, guys, you manufacture something which is very, very expensive, but we want to avoid soaking up the pads vertically. So when the polish needs to act on the first, let's say, 2 to 3 millimeters of thickness of the foam, and the pores are very huge, especially on the cutting pads. So you quickly lose on abrasive and cutting power when the polish is just soaking up the pad in a path it shouldn't go, so towards the backing plate. This is where you don't need it. You need it in the location where it should work, and this is the paint work. So what we do with this kind of lubrication, it is not just water, it is a special wettening agent which penetrates the pores of the pad, and you only need 1 to 2 spritzes of it to just saturate the pores, and it prevents the polish from being soaking up too deeply into the pad. So this is just the main idea, to save this 20 to 30% of soaking action.
Right. Yeah, because the product just gets right up in there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it dries out quicker because it's not actively being able to be cycled. So
yeah, it does.
Super cool. CV Furtnick checking in from sunny South Carolina.
Yes.
So that's sweet.
Greetings to South Carolina.
Yeah.
I just drove through South the other day. It was beautiful.
Yeah. You came back from some kind of holidays, I remember.
Yeah. It was beautiful. Yeah, it's sunny there too. This is for sure.
but sunny like 85 and above sunny, or sunny like it's okay to have it sunny like this?
My variations of sunny are too sunny or not, or extreme differences. I prefer the opposite. Yeah. No, Sebastian, I remember we had before the DA phase really came into the marketplace, there was, you had to have the skill with the rotary, and it was very often that you had to use water in your cycling process, So, and if you had water on a wool pad, you still get the same effect, but the idea is also to keep the surface temperature cooler.
Yeah, and this is the main idea what it used to be with the rotary polishing action, because you mainly got the difference compared to the orbital action, that you have 4 to 5 times the heat compared to an orbital polisher with your rotary machine. And this is what you always need to take into account when you're polishing rotary. But these days, most of the guys I know tend to change to orbital machines just to overcome this issue. And so the lubricant became more as an assistive to save on more expensive polish than it has to work as a coolant. But you still can use it that way. So it's still, and besides the fact that we got a rotary machine in our arsenal, you can also still use it as a coolant. So it's far more capable than usual water, because the boiling point is 15 to 20 degrees higher Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So you have a larger working window, which is also quite nice for this. And to be honest, this is I guess it is a $10 product, and I have a bottle lingering around in my garage, which I use since 6 years, I guess. So it's just you barely use any product.
Yeah. But like you mentioned, it's more of a wettening agent, because using just water, it has this abrasive factor all by itself.
And you cannot control it. So usually water contains a certain degree of minerals depending on where you live in. So it depends on which well you pump it from, or which sea, or
maybe temperature.
Do you use it from groundwater? So the source makes the difference. And this is what I always try to tell people when they ask me, can I utilize water? I tell them, we live in Hagen next to Dortmund. So it's 500 kilometers away from Berlin. Where we pour the bottles, we have very clear and very high quality water, but in Berlin, the guys don't have. It is very, very chalky water. So you even can, when you just take a shower, in a black shower, after 2 times, you have a white shower, So it's like the
calcium buildup.
Messed over completely by the water, just of the contaminations and the minerals which are in there. And this something you don't want to have on your paint. As you were saying, this is using serious abrasive effects, so you manipulate your final polish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always whenever I'd have to sand a vehicle, when I'd wet sand it, I'd always get distilled water jugs and use that to fill my bucket, make sure it was really, really clean and wiped out, and then soak all my paper in distilled water, because then I didn't have to worry about the sands, the granules that were just floating in the water from the hose. But so many times I'd walk into custom shops and guys would be just pouring water out of the shop sink and
don't take it from
there,
the tap.
and then they're just in there sanding the car, and then they wonder when they've got gouges or when they've got little pieces of sand stuck in their paper, or any of that kind of stuff. But a lot of people don't think about that kind of stuff. Those of us that live in hard water areas,
Exactly.
we see that a lot. And so
Yeah.
a lot of houses have pre-filtration systems and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's a key thing. So just using a spray bottle of water, do some final polishing is probably not a good idea. So picking up pad prime is a great idea, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where the system starts. You know, it's like the way pad prime acts is beneficial to how the pore structure is done on the polishing pads. So we cannot control the pore structure if it's reticulated foam or non-reticulated foam, if it's PU or PUR foam, speaking about the raw material. This is something, or even EVA and other kind of foams are around, from what I know. This is something we cannot control from our side, and we cannot guarantee the same results. So this is why I always try to tell people why it is beneficial to use some kind of system. And what we always try to keep in mind is that one product works with the other. So just keep this in mind, that if you got a polish, it is made for the pores of the particular pad. If you got this pad prime, it is also meant to be used with the particular pores and the material of the pad. And even if you have two identical pads from what you're looking on, it is not meant that it is the same kind of product. So it could be that it's different kind of foam, because under heat and under pressure, when you're just working it and you polish, then the foam pad and the density of the pores change a little, and it tends to get softer. It tries to cover some curves maybe. So the modulus, the hardness of the material just changes, and this is something you also need to take into consideration when you're choosing your material. And it's not always like some kind of famous YouTuber has recommended you the next best polishing pad,
right?
Which is maybe not the best polishing pad if you have a polishing pad impregnation like pad prime and you have a LE or a KCX caution polish. It's just up to the combination. And this is where I see more and more people not gaining knowledge about, because this is something they just need to realize. So there's not much to understand, that when you have a serious team that made up their minds for decades how this should work, it is the same like we had last time with the grease, so that people are just filling more and more grease to silence down their polishers. If this would have been worked, then physicists and engineers the machines would have done this already. Because these are not dumb people usually. So it is the same with these effects, that you always need to take into consideration, what do I get in front of me, and do I get the possibility to use a complete system? And speaking about the system in particular, I don't want to say that the other materials which are around are not that good or cannot come close. But what we want to achieve is an economic solution, so that you don't have these overpriced kind of products. Maybe some of the people who have seen our latest episodes remember the mentioning of our honest price movement. That we try to be as transparent as we can, and we will also spread this out further to give people more insights to how pricing calculation is done. And this is also one of the effects. So just think about this. Why should you buy a polishing pad for, let's say, $18 when you can buy it for 6 or 7 maybe? There we go again.
Look at that. Whoa. Hey, I can show it. People can see it right there. 6 or 7.
Fortunately, I don't got my daughter with me. So like, you did it again.
I think all our kids would be like, oh, what?
I don't get it. Why this is just spread it across the world, so viral. Like, no matter if you're in the States, in Germany, or even when we talk with our other factories, especially in China, the people are like, 6, 7. This is
That's great.
So, Sebastian, with the pad prime, I think a question that could be asked quite a bit, or something that would go through my mind, for example, is the lubrication, and because let's just pretend that you're polishing a panel and you just use any old random detail spray. as your solution, right? You have this idea in your head, you want to keep the surface temperatures cool, you want to use some type of a lubricant, but you just use a detail spray. So like with the pad prime, as far as lubrication, like how is this working?
It's working far differently. So when you're just speaking about any kind of, let's say, quick detailer, we remember these things back in the days where Maguire's XMT series was up, and it was this crazy S-shaped bottle with the blue and greenish packaging. And then we have had, I guess it was Maguire's 21 from the Pro series, and even the Chemical Guys products which were out there. You cannot tell the exact chemical compatibility to your polish. So what could happen is the following. If you have any kind of sealant or active sealant ingredient or any kind of polymer, it can cause this kind of agglomeration, this is called. So there are particles which try to agglomerate with other particles from another product. So imagine that. You have a quick detailer which you have lingering around, let's say, for 5 years. It is maybe still okay as a product, but if you use this as a lubricant instead of pad prime, we cannot guarantee that this is compatible with the film building agent of the polish. And it maybe encapsulates and agglomerates the abrasives, transfers these into the pad, into the pores up towards the backend plate, and you don't get any kind of serious cutting power you paid for. And this is just a technical drawback, and you basically just, let's say, scammed yourself by you paid the full price, but you only get 50% of performance, probably, just a guess.
Well, when we think about lubrication and surface tension, you know, like you would think
this is
that
exactly the thing. Yeah. So what this does is what water don't. So imagine 2 droplets of water. When you bring them together more and more, at some point they're just attracting each other.
Yeah.
So you have this high degree of surface tension. And when you put a little bit of car soap in between, it's just far easily, it's quickly getting more hydrophilic, you know? So H2O as a basic molecule always have this hydrophilic aspects, but to the surface area, due to the surface energy, it has some kind of, on a usual car, which is not detailed for 20 years. These just tend to be hydrophilic at all. You just have these droplets. And what we want to do, reducing the surface tension in order to lay down the polish more evenly. So this is just the point I guess you were after. It's like the chemistry formulation of pad prime compared to bare water is that you have also an agent incorporated there, which is a combination of alcohol and surface active ingredients, which reduce the surface energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't want it to be confused with lubrication.
Yeah, absolutely. and this is what I used to talk to Matt Mormon a lot about this, as I was in the States last time, and he was just I was asking him, why are you so famous and successful with your YouTube channel? And he was just I was just asking for one single sentence because I wanted to understand it the easy way, and he was just like, Sebastian, I'm just making the homework for people, because so they don't have to. It's just like they don't want to check any kind of wrench, any kind of polisher, every kind of pressure washer which is around. I buy tons of material and check with knowledge on these and give them an advice which is working. And so the same is with us. So we just rely on the trust of the customers that we did our homework the right way, and they don't have to. So what we offer works as a system. This is just the major idea behind.
Correct.
So they don't have to check on which kind of detailer could be. So we used to have these questions in the support, you know. So there were.
Well, these are the things that you're gonna think about. You know, you're gonna have this question, and maybe you don't ask this question, you know, but it's better to ask the question. But oftentimes, it's not going to be asked. Also.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. So this is always something you need to think about. Who are you talking to, and who is your supplier? So when you buy something from us, I can only speak about us in particular. When you buy something from us, you're not just buying a product, you're buying an idea for a solution. And this is also when you imagine you go to a Starbucks store, you don't just spend $8 for a coffee. you spend maybe $4 for the coffee, but the other half is for you have a nice accommodation. You can come there. You feel like this is what it's intended to be. It's like this second home feeling,
Right.
where you can do your work for 2 hours, sit on your laptop, and do something just focused without any interactions from a usual office space. This is the major idea behind. So I get this idea, and I can think about if I want to be a part of this idea. And so it is with our customers. We just invite them to see and feel what we have an offer, and then they can just file a decision if they want to be part of the idea or not. So if they are, they can just rely on our expertise, and what we can offer is the full team of encouraged and passionate people who are not just working for money. So I would say, and this is speaking about every dude in the industry or in our company, everyone does this for passion and because they love contributing to the customer solution. So no matter if these guys are in the marketing, if they are in the production or working at the shipping stations, no matter if they are in China, in Germany, or the States, we are always focusing on the best possible customer satisfaction through the best solution we can provide to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I think that as far as this particular system that we're talking about, it would be the one product that would stand out, this Pod Prime. It would probably be the one that would stand out and say, I don't think I need that, But when you understand it now, where it is part of the system, it is part of a solution, then this full package is making more sense,
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. No, that's
Oh,
great.
I see we have a great question in the chat
do.
right now from
We
Terry
just got
O'Connell.
it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this is, Terry, something we talked about recently and many times ago in the past. We usually just encourage people to use the same grease which is in the polisher, and it's meant to last for, let's say, decades when you are a non-pro user, or 2 to 3 years when you are a pro user. So depending on your running hours, imagine you're polishing a car, let's say 6 to 8 hours a day, 5 times a week.
Right.
Then you are a full-time worker, and then we are speaking about 2 years of grease period, which is fine, have it running. And what we can do, and this is something I spoken about to the guys from the procurement department already, that we offer small, like syringes, where a small amount of exact, let's say,
the exact amount
grams, and not 22 to silence down your polisher. It's like you don't want to overfill. So this is an absolutely insane good question, because the pro users are usually just like, okay, how can I maintain this machine in order to let it last longer? So the white lithium grease, I know it is a great lubricant, to be honest, but maybe you know these mountain bike suspensions. So when you have the front forks, you have these mountain bike suspensions. And I had a friend. He was a friend. He isn't anymore. Not because of this, but could have been. So, yeah. To be honest, it was just a dumb decision. He was asking, "You're a technical person, so should I lubricate the shaft and where it's sliding?" And I was just like, "It will attract a massive amount of dirt."
Yeah.
Depending on the composition. So if you have a PDFE or Teflon based, which is a polymer, do you have a wax or grease, which is likely to attract far more dirt, or have you some kind of, let's say, repellent in it? But the major recommendation is just wipe it clean with a towel. So no lubrication at all in this part, because you don't make it better. And he was always arguing with me back and forth, like, yeah, but it's sliding better. And when I drive through a forest, I drive for a few hours. And I was like, the only thing which has to happen is you have it lubricated, and you have a single small part of debris or dust sticking on it, and it's just transferred through the shaft into your ceilings, and it's rubbing the ceilings. So we all know this effect from our windscreen wipers,
Yeah.
If you have a small kind of defect, you're just scratching your glass window when you have this frequent kind of back and forth motion. I was like, imagine that. You have this all day, constantly. You're driving your MTB for 100 kilometers, and then, it's just penetrating the ceilings down to nothing. So they just start leaking, and it basically makes no sense to do this over the manufacturer's recommendation. This is what I finally want to say with this. So white lithium, great lubricant, not great for polishers, to be honest, for ours. Yeah, I cannot speak about other machines, but so imagine that the grease makes maybe $3 or $4 in cost of a polisher, and when you have a $450 machine, I want to be sure that the manufacturer was thinking about, should I use the $6 grease instead, maybe, because it's far better in performance, and he can charge me for sure, because I want to rely on an honest and performance oriented thing. Then he should have done this. And I would speak about us that we already estimated what the best lubricant for each machine will be.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you buy a car, right? And it's got an engine that they tell you this is how much oil you put in it. Nobody ever puts in more motor oil.
Don't overfill.
Don't change your oil and put in, you can put transmission fluid in there if you want.
Your engine becomes quite immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's taking that with a grain of salt. So Terry, just try and think about that when you're doing that. And like we said, we're going to be putting in future, hopefully, perhaps some sort of small setup for folks to be able to do this, like yourself, if you're a pro user. And then Heavenly Details pops in and says, are you all going to offer 1.5-inch pads for the A1000? Love my A4500 and A1000 polishers.
Yeah,
thank you, Dan. We appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate your question as well. And this is a great one. And I can tell you no, for a serious reason. So on the A1000, you can unscrew this kind of main head. You see, this is the part right above the backing plate. You can unscrew it completely. So the eccentric mechanic you can take out. So it would be possible in theory that in comparison to most of the other machines where you cannot detach the orbital mechanism, which is sitting above the backing plate. Exactly. So it would be technically possible, but there is a huge drawback. So imagine that if you have a 1-inch backing plate and a polishing pad a little larger already, because you have this conical shape like our Padman Advanced, for example. The usual Padmans are just cut straight, the usual pads, but we also offer these triangular
beveled.
Yeah, exactly. So you have the surface area of let's say 1.2 to 1.3 inches already, which is in contact, and this is causing a serious kind of counter momentum back as a backlash into the motor. So the motor has 80 watts on this particular machine, and it's not capable of driving more force into the correction or the paintwork. So what will happen is the following, and I know that some users reported me this from the Flex PXE, driving it with the, I guess, 3-inch backing plate. It is just stuck because the motor is not powerful enough to handle this kind of, or to provide this kind of power which is necessary to overcome this counter momentum that the surface provides, because you're just, if you increase the surface area, we have an increase in diameter of 50%, but a 50% increase means roughly 120% more surface area in total. So this counter momentum, which you have to overcome with your motor force, has to be 4 times higher. So when you just imagine the simple equation, it's the same like with cars. When you want to go, let's say, from 40 mph to 80 mph, it requires, so you have 2 times the speed, but it requires 4 times the force, because you need to overcome drag, you need to overcome gravity, rolling resistance, and all these things. So it's nearly the same with the polishing machines, and we would have used, or we need to use 4 times the motor power in order to make this happen. And this is the main reason, and this is why we still got a great solution for you from the Pro line, which is coming within the next weeks. It's the A2500. So this is the larger brother of the A1000. The motor is slightly thicker. I guess it's 30 to 40%, but it has 6 times the power. So we're speaking about 500 watts pure force. So this is something which is easily capable of also driving a 3-inch backing plate, and it also comes with the 1-inch. So there you can interchange.
You get a little more power with that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we are hopefully in the future going to get pads that'll be appropriate for the A1000, so that way you guys are only using what is available with those. So, and then Verena pops in to say hello, sending some hearts. Thank you, Verena. And then Nicholas Anderson, are there any resellers in Norway? I'd like to try pads and polishes.
Honestly speaking, I don't know right now because we used to have 2 resellers in Norway, but I know that one of them is not selling our goods anymore because the company was running bankrupt. So yeah, unfortunately, this happened. We wasn't the case, or we weren't the case, yeah. Let's say we were not the source of this, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if we have any there right now, but what you can do is just write us an email to the support team in Germany, and then they can give you an advice or a hint where you can buy these nearest possible solution.
Yeah, that's great. And then Heavenly says, thank you. Appreciate it, man. That's
Absolutely.
great.
This is what we're here for.
Yeah, that's the goal of this. Any other questions anybody has, feel free to throw them in the chat so we can answer your questions. But yeah, no, I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people, that they have those issues, or they just don't understand the change in certain machines. Because like everybody that gets into polishing, and I see this 1,000 times on Instagram or Facebook, is people don't understand the amount of science involved in detailing, and the amount of mechanics and physics that go into detailing. And one of our biggest questions Brian and I get is, why can't we get 6-inch backing plates to put on the 15s? Because that's not the optimum design for that. Because it doesn't need it. The 15 works the way it is, and it's the same thing with a lot of different stuff. So it'll be cool to have everybody. And our friend Chris Giovanni, bankrupt call out. Let's go. Love it, Chris.
Someone wants to join the bankrupt movement.
Yeah.
So after the honest price movement, there comes the bankrupt movement for the guys who provided the honest prices. Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully they're all good. Everybody's all right.
Yeah.
No, but go ahead.
Yeah, this is something we just need to clarify, because most of the people speaking about this honest price movement, which came back to me, were like, oh, Sebastian, so now you want to go on and just be transparent on all your prices you're having, and what items cost in which way, and where costs are occurring, and what they mean, and why they are beneficial to the system, and how I receive my items. And I was like, yeah, we would just be transparent about what is our gain, what is the transportation cost, what is the gain on the US side, what is the US transportation, how do we cover warranties, how do we cover faulty items which we need to repair or replace. And this is everything which is needed to take into account. And I guess you need to be very serious and precise in your calculation when you're just walking on this edge. And this is why most of the people don't do it, and they just thrive for a very high profit margin to cover every kind of occurring cost that may be there, or maybe they just want to be plus sure to have their certain kind of, let's say, EBITDA when they're selling something. And what we try is, we always try to keep this small in our benefit and scale. So what we need is we are not raising our margin, we are raising our numbers. And this is also a talk I used to have with Matt Mormon from Obsessed Garage. He was just asking me, Sebastian, why don't we sell this polisher for $400? So for $200, it's a great machine. It's one of the greatest I know, but it's far too cheap, man. And I was just giving him the idea with the basic equation behind that, and he immediately understood, because he has this financial investment banker background, and he was like, yeah, okay, I get the idea. That you just want to serve more customers which have these items available, because we don't need any holding back, because we are proud of our quality and our faulty rates, so we can just pump more volume into the market, and we only need a small amount of margin compared to some other companies, providing the same kind of quality to you. And again, this is also part of the honest price movement. And step by step, we are still working on this, so it's not released yet, and we will also constantly update this in the future. But my idea about this is that we have a dedicated website, which we can build up like a wiki, where you can just look up the calculations of the items and be sure about why does a glass cleaner cost this and this, and why does a polisher cost this price. But yeah, this is hopefully something which is not driving us into bankruptcy. But I run this company since 21 years now, and yeah, there hasn't been any bankruptcy signs at all yet. So I'm confident that we will make it.
That's good. No, but that's the thing that people like. I know that is one of the things that Brian and I have talked about a lot. Is that we see this with our distributors, we see this with customers that reach out. Is they want to know why everything is so affordable, why everything's so inexpensive and easy, and why we aren't charging more. Like, and the reason is there's not a need to charge more. You know, when we look at it from the bigger picture of everything in the world and prices going up for no reason other than just people wanting to make a little more money while they can. That always has, you know, I always, when I had my detail shop, and Brian was the same way, we were very fair and honest with our pricing for folks. I never gave the store away, but I always needed to make sure that our, you know, all of my stuff was covered and my guys were covered and my shop was covered and we were all making enough money to be happy and successful, and still my guys were still be able to buy a car or buy a house or do all that stuff. But I never wanted to price myself out of the market as a detailer. I was always still the highest price in my town, but I always tried to give customers that value as to why my products are priced the way they are, or my services were priced the way they are. And that's one of the things I love about what we're doing with this honest price movement, is that we're showing people that this, like glass cleaner, what I've got on the screen right now, right? The glass cleaner, when you put it comparative to other glass cleaners on the market, and some are 10, some are 15, some are 20. Why is ours 5? And
yeah, this is to just hop in there. There is a simple reason. So I know that in the States, one of the most famous glass cleaners is Windex, right?
Right.
How is this priced? Where are we at? $3? $3.50?
Yeah, about $3.50.
So imagine that you get a generic glass cleaner at a grocery store, and now you can buy a car compatible glass cleaner. So people asking, where's the difference? Why is it still $5 compared to 3.5 maybe? So I have, let's say, 40 to 50% raise in price still on our product. So we are not looking at 10 or 15 like some others do.
Yeah.
You always need this kind of justification. Why? So an answer is not, I got a cool brand. This is not a sufficient answer, you know. It's like, give me the real story, like you did with your detailing shop. Why does this have more value? And what I always try to give people is the main idea that the car compatible glass cleaner should have the main advantage compared to usual Windex type of glass cleaner, which is used at households. It has far better, let's say, organic splitting components, which are able to get rid of these kind of insects you got on your windscreen. So you're not driving with your house. You're not going 19 on the freeway, you know, with your house, but you do this with your F-150 probably. So it's a different situation, but they both are called glass cleaner. But the one has a higher challenge to serve, and this is the reason why it's 40% increase in price, you know. And this is what we just want to have people understand why this is happening, because it's a different formulation, and me, from my perspective, it also has a cool packaging. So this is, for me, if anyone asks me why is this price higher than Windex, I can just give them a basic idea. So we are a chemical company, not selling magic cyber dust. It's just chemicals, but we make it tailored to the car enthusiast needs, and we also give them a nice feeling with a nice bottle, a nice cool label, which is smooth to the
Nice
touch,
sprayer.
standard stuff, exactly.
And we
Cool
also offer
distribution.
the right towels
Yeah.
to go along with it.
Yeah, this and so we again have this kind of solution. So you have the Street Buster towel compatible with the glass cleaner, and I just be still curious, and even if I'm in this industry for like you guys for decades, I'm still curious. Why do I have to pay $10 for a glass cleaner? What's in there?
Yeah.
Can it cook? Can it drive my car in autopilot? I don't know. So
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
still curious for the
There's-
answers, but there isn't any.
Yeah.
Towards my
Yeah,
direction.
there's the everyday consumables by any professional, you know, window cleaners, car shampoos, decon sprays,
Decon
things like
spray,
this. Yeah. All of these daily consumable products can lead to annually extensive high prices if not careful with your purchasing.
Mhm.
You know, so but what is the reason for this? You know, like we have to have
Yeah.
a good reason for this. And
Yeah, here you go.
it's at the end of the day, if we can offer a solution that it gets the job done, that's
Yeah, and your
main
customers are happy because the
main reason
results are
for a
right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I don't want any other brand to feel blamed or pushed against. I 100% agree. If you have a small manufacturing site which justifies higher prices because they have higher labor costs, that's okay.
Yep.
This is a justification too, and the customer has to decide: do I want to buy a $10 price glass cleaner for the sake of feeling supportive, you know? So you're supporting a smaller business, maybe someone who's sitting manually in front of a filling machine. Most of the people, Levi, used to have this
Mhm.
video with our automatic filling line. So
I have it.
we are
can
just
watch it.
very efficient in what we are doing, and I don't want to be in a direction like we are the only one who are right, but there are also justifications for maybe others, like this kind of signature thing, or
Yep.
they just do it manually, and most of the people I know have this kind of let's say personal brand feeling. So in Germany we also have a few people where we manufacture for, so we also
Yeah.
do OEM services for some brands, and a few of these are just iconic people. For example, imagine someone like Bravos. So Bravos is a company which is like, wow, this is a brand. This is not just a
Yeah.
company, it's a brand. And this kind of signature brand, people love to buy merchandise. So if I buy a $15 glass cleaner for Bravos, probably, if they would have one, then this is a merchandise product. But it's not, like you say, Brian, it's not everyday detailer's consumable. This is a signature product which you buy probably one time, you put it on your shelf, and you're just staring at it and be like, wow, this is a cool product. I will never ever consume it on the customer's car, but it's a cool product.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like the bicycle you mentioned as well, you know, there's a lot of bicycles you can go to the store and you can buy very, very cheap, you know, pick up a bicycle at a cheap store, or you can buy a mountain bike that's got these interesting forks mid-price, you know,
Yeah.
and some component parts, but you have a need for it, you know.
Yeah.
There's a purpose for this, you know. So when the purpose becomes necessary, then you can, you know, elaborate. But by this point, at least with chemicals, you pretty much know a chemical really well by this point, that you can you do have the professional ability to manipulate it the way that you need it to work.
Exactly.
You know?
And this is always something I would just invite people to make a comparison. So if you have a famous brand, stay curious, and I would always recommend try something different. Yeah, be curious about what could work better. And I don't mean like browse the internet 2 hours a day and be like, oh, where to pick the next fancy glass cleaner. But if you have a glass cleaner for $10, be curious. If you have a glass cleaner for $3 to $4, less curiosity is necessary. So
Right.
it doesn't pay out to be curious, you know? So if you already optimized your cost, you need less curiosity in order to optimize your cost. So you can save time and invest this time in order to be more efficient detailing cars. And this is what I want to encourage people on any kind of product. So whenever you have a product which is high priced and you see cheaper ones, don't be like, oh, this is cheap ingredients or this is a bad quality. When you can tell this from day one because it's obvious, that's okay, that's cool. But stay curious on this, and whenever you can improve your buying, it's like, imagine that when you we made an estimation on this. The usual detailer in Germany spends roughly $450 a month with a single person on items like chemicals, towels, polisher revenue rate. So
Yeah.
you have, let's say, 2 or 3 years periods where you need a new polisher. And this is always all taken in conjunction. So you have this, let's say, 5K in the year, which you're spending on material. When you have a 3 workers team, this is 15K. So when you can reduce this by half, it is 7.5K in your pocket. And this is something where you should be curious. But don't be curious when you already buy a sufficient chemical, let's say a glass cleaner for 3.5. It does the job for you, it's sufficient, and you think about, oh, I've seen a YouTuber who offers something for $13. Maybe I should try it. Don't do this. It would justify the price, you know. So
Yeah. No, it's one of those where a lot of people don't take that into consideration, right? They don't talk, and that's the biggest thing about running a system or learning a system. And this is something Brian and I have always kind of tried to teach folks. The biggest thing when you're out detailing is you get excited because you see all the different products, right? They're all over the place. You walk in. I did a couple dealer visits yesterday and Wednesday, and went to some stores and checked them out that carry our products, and they showed me where they're putting them and all that. But you walk in and it's a wall of towels from all these companies. It's a wall of soaps and products along this company. And so detailers they don't know where to look, right?
confusing.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And they come in and they go, oh, maybe I do want that, or maybe I do want this. But we tell everybody, get your baseline, get your starting point of where you're going to utilize all the products from one line, and the products from one entire line, and that they work. And then anything that is a issue or a concern, you adjust based on going up on that one product or going down, right? So if there's a compound that you really, really like, but man, it's expensive, it's just too much, and you're trying to account for that, right? Because you're like, oh, I heard good things because YouTube and detailers, they say this is a good one, but man, it's just not working for me. It's too much money. I can't afford, or I don't have the budget to do that. That's where you start with that line. And I look back to the old days of that's the thing with a lot of detail supply shops, is they do carry their own brand of products. And most guys just start at that, right? They just start right there and go, here's our product line. They buy everything and they run off of that. And then they go, hey, that APC doesn't work very well. Oh, just increase your dilution. Well, pricing doesn't really work for that. So they find a stronger APC that maybe has better dilution, or a soap that has a better dilution rate, or this. And those are the changes. So what we're trying to explain to everybody all the time is that's the beauty of this liquid elements system, is that everything is priced correctly and everything is designed to work within that system. And that's another thing people don't understand, is that products developed within a system work for the next step. And each kind of builds on a building block of itself for that purpose. And Brian and I said this in one of our episodes. There are so many people that polish with a Sonax compound. They are cut with a Sonax compound. They polish with a Rupes polish. They wipe the car down with maybe their own, what I like to refer to as bathtub gin. And that's their alcohol wipe down that they mix up themselves with IPA and some water, and put a little bit of this in there, right? A little peroxide for fun. Like there's so many different variants that I've seen. So they wipe and prep the surface, and then they use a coating from another manufacturer, right? And then they'll wipe the car down and be done. And now we have 10 different companies that have touched that car. And then the customer comes back in a few months and goes, hey, my coating failed. Why'd your coating fail?
Because the polymers in your wipe down spray from your chemical guy's quick detailer you poured into 10% did not promote good adhesion.
Exactly. And that's the issue, is that a lot of people do this, and they still do this. And I remember 10 years ago, and I saw Brian and I's old buddy Brian Vaccaro popping in, and he knows that same way. Like we were all guys that learned years ago. You start with a system and you run with that system, and then you adjust based on that. But you don't hodgepodge nitpick a bunch of stuff unless you know the chemicals and how they work together and what they're designed for. And a lot of times that means having to call the company and asking the hard questions and figuring it out. So,
but this is exactly the way to do it. So what I always like to provide to people is that we try to build confidence, and wherever you're not feeling confident, just feel free to ask. So imagine that, as I mentioned it, maybe you just poured a little bit of your quick detail into your pad lubrication thing, which didn't give you proper adhesion for the ongoing ceramic coating. But if you stayed with the system and imagine the idea that the soap or the APC you use for the initial wipe down already prepared a basic protonic charge to the paint, making it, let's say, positive, so that the negative ions of the final ceramic coating could adhere better. This is something no one thinks about.
Yes,
So we have this pre-protonation on some soaps we are selling, like the hydrolyzed ceramic, for example. And this is so hard for a customer to explain that, as you say, every step builds upon each other. And we always try to improve this, for sure. So if there are people asking questions, we try to incorporate their questions if we can communicate this better, or we even can make this better. But this is an ongoing growing process, and we just want to be the bilateral partner of detailers in order to make them feel confident that they can rely on something. And whenever there's a problem, just mention it to us, give us the chance to give you an advice, or maybe if there's a failure in the system, give us the chance to improve the system for all of us. So we all have better results within the system, and we all can feel far more confident. But I used to see this funny thing from Mr. Rodriguez. I also just love this mental meditational thing of watching the robots doing its thing. So it's just multiple servo motors which are hanging on these robotic arm things and handling the bottles. And this is so satisfying. It's if we had this up and running finally. So we used to have an automatic production line since 8 years now. But we revised the technology at the start of this year, and it became far more capable and crazy. And it's just so satisfying to watch this.
It's super cool. No, it's awesome to see, for sure, and it's nice that it's up and running. So
yeah, absolutely,
better. So,
but finally, about this kind of, why does the system matter? It's like, as I said, and this is where it's always coming down to, confidence. So if imagine if you paint a car, if you are a car painter, you don't buy primer from company A, then you buy clear coat of company D, and maybe a base coat at company F.
Right.
And then you try that this is adhesionally promoted correctly and applied and properly shiny and polishable and long lasting. So usually the guys go with MIPA or Standox or some other kind of Glazurite or whatever brand of
3M, PPG.
Exactly. So this you stay in these systems, and what painters do correct is that usually they're very locked into 3M. Actually, so be honest about that. Is like if ever you offer a painter another kind of polish, he's always like, what kind of bottle cap is this? I need the rose or the green or the white. And I was like, oh, you're stuck into the 3M system. And they were like, yeah, it's just working. But I was like, yeah, it's just a $70 bottles.
Yeah.
Try to think out of the box. So this is where we were half an hour ago. Like, stay curious if you're on the high price app.
And a lot of people don't. You look at that and it goes down again back to like having that SOP, right? A standard operating procedure on how you run your business, because it moves back into becoming more efficient in not only your detailing, but just in ordering and training and teaching your team. There's so many things that make it work so much better if you stick to a system and a process for all of your stuff. And that's one of the coolest things. And I'm going to say this, I watched Dr. David Gadusi of Optimum do this explanation. It's something that stuck with me, and I watched him do this, almost 15 years ago. But he explained each product in his lineup by taking a paper clip and then connecting it to another paper clip, and he goes, "This is our this is our pre-cleaner. This is our soap. This is our decon spray. This is our, and he'd hook a new paper clip on. And then he'd go through his whole lineup as to why, and this is why this connects to this, and this is why this connects. And at the end, he has a little chain, right? And he can show people this is what connects from the start of the wash to the end goal of protection. This is a strong link now. He goes, but if I use 2 of my products and then I grab a product from here, but and he grabbed like some weird clip or something. It wasn't a paper clip. It was something else. He goes, it doesn't attach. It doesn't work the same way. And people, I mean, it was one of those where it made it so simple and easy to understand that was the first time I go, okay, I need to look at brands more effectively that create a system for their product line to play off the next step. So
absolutely. I frequently got asked by customers, especially when we are on trade shows, that they just ask me, Sebastian, what is the idea? Why did you build a system? So we used to speak about the main questions from resellers, like what is your best selling item? I want to know if it's the ceramics or the machines or the polishes or the towels or whatever. And after this, I always reply like, you buy a full system, a solution for the customer, and you should provide it to them as a whole. And then the next question right after mainly is like, why did you came to this idea to provide a full solution when the market is flooded with people that are selling polishers, people that are selling chemicals, people that are selling towels? They just specialized on this one thing. And I just have 2 replies for them. The first is they don't have the capacity to manufacture or focus on everything, so they are not capable of building the full system. Imagine someone who's making great chemicals. He probably needs to buy from others what he's not capable of for himself, because the company is not oriented towards this. They're oriented towards a dedicated product since decades, maybe. So we started LE just out of this idea of providing a system. So it was clear from day one that we need to work with these items in conjunction. And the second thing is like, we always try to provide the best value possible. So we don't want to have this kind of money burning lock-in effects with some systems. So I know a few systems, I will not mention them here, because people pay 4 to 5 times the price when they are logged into a system. And this is what's happening when you only take this particular polish with that machine, which is provided, and then you have a warranty on the machine, which forces you to use the polish, you know? Yeah. So this is something just for an example. But and then you have the 70 to 80 bucks bottle prices, and you have 800 for a polisher, where I say it's wow, this is wild. For what? And this is where I'm still curious, like for what reason? For what objective reason? And this is where we mainly transition to this kind of, oh, now I got the idea, you just try to provide the best, most valuable solution. And yeah, this is what it's coming down to. And right after this, what we also want to exclude to people is not only the direct cost, but I investigated something which I call lateral costs. So these are costs which are not that obvious. So imagine that obvious costs are like, you have a saving on your polisher. Imagine you have a $600 polisher and now you buy one for half the price. Let's say a T4200, half the price. You saved on 50%. But what drove you to this $500 polisher? It probably was 8 months of streaming through the internet, revving through Reddit, watching 122 YouTube videos, because you know that when you're spending $500, it needs to be serious deliverable.
Yeah.
And this is the lateral costs, I mean. So imagine these hours. Let's pretend it's 40 hours. In 40 hours, you can detail what? 8 cars?
Yeah.
So imagine the revenue you missed out on and the gain. This is your bilateral or your lateral loss. You also suffered. So it's not the direct saving you got. We also give you this kind of direction. So it is this kind of confidence I meant. And we have this in every aspect. So you don't need to think about, is the masking tape Liquid Elements offers compatible with their polishes, or can I remove it easily from the paint? it should be obvious that it is, because we provide it within the system. And the
Yeah.
same on any kind of, let's say, surface finish spray, the APC, the soaps, the ceramics. So when we sell you a ceramic shampoo, which can reactivate the coating, for example, and we sell you a coating, you can rest assured that this is compatible. And you don't need to browse through 60% of the internet,
Yeah.
make up your mind for 12 years to think about what's the better solution.
Oh, Sebastian, that's the like everything that was just said was the exact reason that makes everything so understandable with Levi and I. Like, how cool is it to be with a brand that is actually full rounded,
Yeah.
and done under the same roof. This is like you mentioned, there's a lot of things out there where other great companies have to go to other sources because they can't dial in a specific niche of an item. So this is the really cool, wonderful thing about being full rounded, because I think that from years of trial and error with other products and things like this, years of trial and error, as you grow more into the confidence realm, which is the greatest attribute to the results that you're going to achieve, you would then at this point realize that I just need this, and you don't need the 44 or 122 hours of video watching. You don't need the, you know what I mean? So these are all of the great things that, like I said, I think that offer Levi and I this like passion with the brand that is like so incredibly full rounded that you can take that whole equation, that whole lost time, and be done with it, because what you need is here, and that's an incredible thing. So yeah, but Levi and I really love this about the Liquid Elements brand.
I'll tell you, the tape doesn't get spoken enough about it. The masking tape, it is single-handedly, when you sent me a machine after we met at the last Auto Mechanica, and you threw in a couple boxes of tape. We used the ever-living snot out of that tape for everything, for headlight restoration when I was with Auto Wash, and my guys loved it because they could wet the surface down, clean that area, get it all ready to go, then mask everything, and then they'd use a wetting agent when they were wet sanding the headlights. And many times, traditional tapes would just peel up, or you get them wet, they don't handle. They break because they don't have enough flex or bend into them, enough elasticity into the tape. And so having that was one of the very, we used that tape so much that was one of the things that I was like, this is a good brand. Like, just the tape alone. And then, of course, my guys taking the time to plug in a German machine, an EU machine, into an inverter to then run it to do a polishing job when they had 10 Rupes machines sitting right there ready to go at any time, that even the battery powered ones, they could just pick it up and polish a car. They took the time to set up an inverter, to set up the power generation and all that, and then hook in this machine because they said it just worked better. It was more comfortable, easier to use. And for me, that was the first, I was like, okay, there's something here. The tape is amazing. This is amazing. Let's see what else they got. So this was for me, I mean, you had me hook, line, and sinker after the tape. So
yeah, I'm happy to hear that. So this is just what this is all about. So we just want to convince people with performance and not with marketing, So we don't have this kind of over sophisticated marketing, which I don't want to blame. So I'm not saying that a good, cool marketing isn't good at all, but we are not focused on marketing. We are focused on technology and efficiency. So we make some kind of marketing, but reduced. So this is what the brand is all about. It's just reduced to what is necessary. So no over sophistication. And it's also like you mentioned on the polishers. So I can pack any kind of crazy options in there. And I had people asking like, oh, do you have some lighting on polisher? Do you have some adapters which I can screw on, and probably some other nice accessories? And mainly I just ask people, when you don't have proper lighting, you did something wrong, and don't blame your polisher for not having proper lighting with it, because it's not its fault. So your premises should have proper lighting. It's like, so, instead, there's only one scenario I can imagine having additional lighting on a polisher makes sense, which is when you're standing below a car which is jacked up and you're polishing your exhaust.
Yeah.
This is the one major reason I would accept having additional 2 to 3 watt LED lighting on a polisher. All the other things are just, it is a marketing feature which you can sell to people and ask for a price. But I guess it is not worth for efficiency, So, Levi, as I was sitting on the toilet this morning, I was just browsing through old Instagram messages from a few weeks ago, because I get many, and I didn't recognize that you sent me some guy who was just referring about Aldi, the grocery store Aldi. Which is basically from Germany, and the company Aldi was founded in Essen, where the Essen Motor Show is at, which is 30 kilometers away from us. So they're just our neighbors. And I always try to give people the idea that we are like Aldi. We focus on what is necessary and deliver the full system. So we're not offering you 18 different, let's say, ribeye options. We offer you one. So the one which is necessary for you at the best price possible.
Yep.
And this is the same principle. And this guy was just chatting about how Aldi is raiding the grocery industry, why this company from Germany is so efficient. They take up only a quarter of the space. They have double the throughput. They're just so crazy cheap. You have half of the full cart price you would have at, let's say, Walmart or at other grocery stores. And this is just what it's coming down to. We try to be the Aldi efficiency brand of the detailing industry, providing people with what they really need without the hassle of making up their minds with what could be the next sophisticated 19th ribeye steak option.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting too, Sebastian, because after these months and having all of the nice support from the resellers, and the resellers' orders are growing steadily, with each order are growing steadily. This is the gravity effect that is pulling, it's not necessarily a vendor making a decision based off of a cost and a value and a return of investment. This is a customer making a choice saying, wow, I tried this, it works, and I'll be back for more. So this is it's for us, it's about the consumers. It's making sure that the consumers are getting what they need in their hand. We have really great vendors, really great reseller support. This is fantastic for us. Levi and I are happy and grateful. But at the end of the day, when the vendors need to make the choice because they want maybe the $80 ribeye one weekend, or they,
Yeah, like you say, hey, splurge every once in a while, but I mean, at the end of the day, the results
are the things that matter,
right? But the result's the same. If you're going to buy the fancy $80 soap, your car's still going to get clean. It's still going to be washed.
Yeah. But you can have these better things, like, so like this is really interesting. And I know that we're a little over an hour now, but as where we're at on the North America side on these consumables and these everyday products, so obviously we're not fully as rounded as the Germany partnership, but soon, as we get the consumables into the country, and it'll be really interesting to see the effects of this, once we get more of these liquid products in, they kind of go into the marketplace, and professionals and consumers will end up making the decision in the long run.
Absolutely. So. And as you were saying, Brian, it's working like gravity, and this is what I like to call the Aldi effect these days, because they are also just gravitating through the market and penetrating it from somewhere else, far off the side. No one did expect this, and then it just bam happened. Yeah. And this is the same what we saw with the machines, and also maybe with the liquids when these are far broader available right now.
Well, life is life, and with higher grocery prices, higher gas prices, maybe somebody's shampoo price went up. Like, who knows? I don't have shampoo, so I don't know. But with the everyday cost of living, as
Yeah.
everybody is fully aware of, and of all of the inflation that's taking place on a carton of eggs or a package of bacon or something like this, is just absolutely crazy, But the necessity of that, as has been mentioned on this episode, like, is that really necessary?
Yeah.
And this is
This
this is the main
the honest
thing.
price movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the most important thing to me. Like, I always ask myself the question, is this really necessary? And I visited the States a few times now, and what I always recognize it, speaking about shampoo, I still need some. I used to buy a shampoo for, I guess, $7 or $8. And I was like, wow, the same shampoo from the same brand in Germany cost 2.5.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why is it priced at roughly 3 times the price in the States? I didn't get the point. So it is a brand from France. It was from some kind of subsidiary of L'Oreal. So this is a France-based brand. But why is everything so expensive? So if you buy a bread in Germany, it's $1.5. If you buy a bread in the States, $6.
Yeah.
Why is everything so expensive? And the same with car care items. So when you have a $200 polisher in Germany, it's the usual price. And the same, this is why I call this the Ali effect. Yeah. In the States, everybody is used to buy $400, $500, $600 polishers. To us, this is making no sense. And we just try to incorporate this kind of knowledge that it doesn't make any sense paying the higher prices. And so it's also about the soap, which is the best example. It's like, why spending more than $10 for a bottle of soap, for a liter, not for these 473 ml 16 fluid ounces, I guess, size.
Yeah, it's really what happens after the soap that matters also.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So-
No, I'll just tell you this. So you guys know we moved from Colorado to Utah, and this morning Augie said, let's go to McDonald's for breakfast. Like, go get some breakfast sandwiches. And I said, all right. I pulled out the app and I started looking. And my wife and I the other day had a discussion, because we were like, oh, we just want to get out of, or we're excited to leave Colorado. Hash browns, $3 at McDonald's in Colorado. And my wife goes, why are they $3? That is crazy. Like, they shouldn't be $3. We got here. I pulled it up this morning. Was looking on the app. Hash browns, $1.50 in Utah.
We're getting somewhere.
And I was like, okay, all right, this is a little better. I don't feel so bad at $1.50.
Yeah, but it's just about, there are people willing to pay these prices, so they will charge these. There are some companies willing to charge these prices.
Yeah,
and
it was just the state, and I'm sure there's operating costs and other stuff that they're trying to deal with over there compared to here. But it was something as simple as that, to where I was like, wow, 50% increase in the
it's 100% increase,
or 100%. I mean, onto the price of the thing, like a 50% decrease of the product, like, but 100% increase for the same product made the exact same way to a standard operating procedure. They have they're not made any differently.
Couldn't be justified in my perspective. Couldn't be justified.
No, and I look at it and go, but are they making? Is it because they're making higher profits?
Yeah,
I'm sure their labor costs are higher, but at the same end of the day, I'm sure they're still selling the same number of hash browns per location, because there was 3 locations within half a mile from us, and I'm sure in Colorado there's 3 locations within half a mile from us. So scale of sales, daily sale is the same.
Get 2 hash browns.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I get 2 hash browns for the price of 1, and but it
was already a sufficient solution for you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we got a comment. Hey, gents, greetings from Suriname, from Enthusiastic Auto Detailer. I own the A4500 Pro, and I am loving it. I'm looking forward for the A2500. Any update? We will have it ready for launch during Auto Mechanica.
Yeah. So the A2000 is going into the A2500 realm, and we're doing this for the professional series. So when you say A2000, we're already thinking A2500. The release of this will probably be in September.
Yep. And then does Ellie have a Rotary Pro version?
I'm working on it.
There you
So
go.
yeah, we still in the, I guess, 3rd year of invention still. This is a tough one just by the fact that the motors we use on the brushless machine are so far more powerful than the usual brushed motors. So most of the people who have seen the T4500 already know that this thing is a jackhammer.
Yeah.
So for a rotary, which produces far higher temperatures, we had an issue because we were working with this kind of fanless system. So at the enthusiastic auto detailer guy, you know that your A4500 already has no fan. So when you turn the machine around and you see there's no ventilation fan like the usual machines. So we had a very high, let's say, problem with thermodynamics
Yeah.
in getting the heat away from the gears of the Rotary Pro machine. But we are close to some solution there. And I hope that I will get another round of samples finished within the next 4 to 5 weeks. So from next week onwards, I will be in the States for 2 weeks. But after this, I will continue working on this guy again. And you can be sure that there will be a pro rotary version of the LE polishers. But yeah, as Brian has mentioned already, the A2500 is on the way already, and we're looking forward for September. And we will keep you updated on social media whenever there's a development for the rotary.
Yeah, it'll be great. And then Terry O'Connell, Levi, looking over the Liquid Elements USA website. Are all items available in the States? If you're on the USA website, yes, all those items are available unless they say sold out, which at this moment is only the A800. And where is the warehouse that they ship from? From Orlando.
Orlando,
right there,
Florida.
Brian's shop. Yeah, in Orlando. So
nothing goes through without passing through me.
Yep. So yeah,
through your hands, I hope.
Brian and I were laughing the other day because 2 orders came from Orlando, and the guys were just down the street, and we were like, "Oh, we need to create an option for like in-store pickup for some of those folks, because if they would have known, they probably would have come down and and could have grabbed it."
Shipping is a major one in the US.
Yeah, exactly. So
absolutely,
we'd be able to get that done.
Yeah, and on top of that, like we're also a very highly dedicated support system for our resellers. So basically, everything is warranted. Everything is the same, whether you buy from a retailer or you buy it direct from us. It doesn't matter. You know, so we're very highly dedicated into supporting our resellers. So whether it's Detailed Image, OG, Sky's the Limit,
PDP,
Chicago Auto Pros.
Yeah, PDP, any of those guys, even our friends on the West Coast. We got a ton of shops on the West Coast as well. But yeah, no, thank you, man. I appreciate that, Terry. And then, so.
Absolutely. So I have another appointment in a few minutes. This is the reason
good.
why
I think we can. I think this is pretty good. We did an hour and 17 minutes. 15 people scanned the QR codes to learn more about the product, so that's pretty rad. And we had on YouTube, we've had over 77 views, so that's pretty. Or not on YouTube, but on Facebook, so that's pretty sweet. I'd like to get this posted also, or at least maybe next month when we do another live. Get us on Instagram, because I think that would help as well. I'm still figuring that stuff out, so bear with us. But guys, make sure you go down, listen to, go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. Put in the Detail Elements podcast. We do a new episode every week, and then once a month we're going to try and do these live Q&As where we all come on. You guys have a chance to answer your questions. I actually really like doing this on a Saturday morning. I think for the US, I think this is a kind of a good way. You know, a lot of people are tinkering around in their garages, or they're just kind of hanging out, or maybe they're working in the yard. They can pop in, throw a headphone in, listen to what's going on. Maybe they're actually working on a car. And this is, I think,
for the German side, this is working as well.
Yeah, Saturday evening.
1930 right here. So 7:30 p.m. And that's quite a nice time for me as well to join. It's
perfect.
Sometimes
maybe
harder on a Friday.
Yeah, so I think maybe we start doing these once a month lives on a Saturday, and folks can hop in and just hang out. So thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you joining us. Thank you, everybody that tuned in and answered your questions and all that stuff. We really appreciate it. And like we said, make sure you go download the podcast, you listen. We got 3 other episodes from the last 3 weeks that we've started that you can go and listen to. And we appreciate everybody joining in. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Sebastian, for taking the time to join us. Brian, you as well. Appreciate it, man. And all right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.
See you. Had a great time, and thanks to all the listeners.